The new regime in Arizona of Mike Hazen and Torey Lovullo have certainly put their stamp on the 2017 D-backs. They're in the postseason for the first time since 2011, but much of this team was created before their arrival. To really tell us how this team was built, we welcome in MLBpipeline.com's Jonathan Mayo. And Jonathan, when you talk about homegrown players on the D-backs, you have to start with a guy who may win the Most Valuable Player award this season, Paul Goldschmidt.
I feel like he's almost always in contention for most valuable player. And, keep in mind that he was drafted back in 2009 and was just an eighth rounder. So to say he's exceeded expectations is an understatement. And they only have 5 homegrown players, all from the draft. A.J. Pollock's also from that 2009 draft with Paul Goldschmidt. Of course, Pollock was the first rounder. Archie Bradley and Andrew Chafin, both now in the bullpen, are from the 2011 draft. And while Bradley, as a top 10 pick, may not have lived up to expectations as a frontline starter, he has turned into one of the most effective relievers in the National League.
One spot where Hazen and company have been able to really put their mark on this team is through recent trades. Now, other guys were traded for before their arrival, but since Hazen and company got there, they've made some really key trades, Jonathan.
Yeah, they really have. The most recent one, obviously, and freshest in our memory, is the trade that brought J.D. Martinez from the Tigers, and he has filled a very important role in the middle of that lineup with power and run production, giving Paul Goldschmidt some protection in the lineup. A good deadline deal for sure. But the first deal that they made has probably ended up being more important than people realized at the time of it, when they made the trade to bring in Taijuan Walker and Ketel Marte from the Mariners for Gene Segura. I think people weren't exactly sure whether that would pay dividends right away, but Walker's been a mainstay in the rotation, and Marte has been hurt, but is back now and fills a nice spot in the middle of the infield. So maybe wasn't the hugest trade at the time that it happened, but it was one of the first transactions that this group made, and both players contributed during the regular season and should have an impact in the postseason.
When you talk about free agents, there's one big one on that D-backs roster, but they've also made other signings. But let's start with Greinke and how important he is and how they got him.
Right, a big free agent splash that they made, a huge contract at the time, and it didn't start out so well. But he's obviously returned to form and has pitched at the top of this rotation all year, and is a Cy Young Award candidate for me. Probably doesn't win it, but is among the better starters, along with Robbie Ray, who they got via trade a few years ago. The rest of the moves, especially that this new regime have made, have largely been to find role players. Outside of Chris Iannetta, who's filled a very strong role behind the plate, a lot of the bullpen was cobbled together via free agent veterans. Guys like T.J. McFarland and J.J. Hoover have really helped out. Jorge De La Rosa. On the offensive side, Daniel Descalso. So you could tell that they were really looking for veteran pieces that were going to help turn things around and fill in what holes they saw. And obviously, it's a plan that's worked out.